Hi guys, welcome to Hyperion Superbikes. Today we're going to be servicing a Ducati Multistrada V4. Watch us as we proceed with this maintenance process. This bike has done 35,000 kilometers and it's now time to do an oil change as well as clean the throttle bodies and replace the chain and sprocket set. We start off by carefully removing all the panels to get easier access to the throttle body. There are three main panels on either side. We remove them carefully. Now that we have the panels off, we remove the beak and the bash plate. This gives us access to the oil filter and the drain bolt. We remove the bolts carefully. Once we have them out, we replace the regular bolts with bolts that are slightly larger. This helps pull the oil filter housing out. That oil looks like it needs a change. Once we have the oil filter out, we can remove the drain bolt and let out the remaining oil. Make sure the engine's on for some time so that the oil is warm. That helps it flow easier. Now we clean up the oil filter housing and install a fresh oil filter and replace the oil filter housing cover. We remove the bolts that helped us push it out and replace it with the original bolts. We torque everything down and we're ready to put in some fresh Maxima oil. The Ducati Multistrada V4 takes 4 liters of oil, so we're going to be pouring in 4 bottles of 1 liter each. We make sure that the sight glass shows the oil level at the higher level once the engine has been turned on. Now we remove the fuel tank, starting with the fuel pump and the taps. We remove the throttle body cover and that gives us access to the throttle bodies. We remove all the velocity stacks and the 2 throttle bodies. Those look dirty. So once we have them cleaned and ready, we reinstall them and they're good as new. We recharge the K&N air filter with the cleaning kit and put it back in place. And let's reassemble everything back the way it was, making sure to torque down all the bolts and clean as we go. Once we have all the wiring in place, we reinstall the ECU and put the socket back on and lock it into place. We reinstall all the upper fairing above the fuel tank, making sure all the wires get rerouted the way they were. Now it's time for the chain and sprocket, so we remove the front sprocket cover. We use a power tool to make it easier to break the bolt loose. Clean up the front area since we have access to it and install the new front sprocket. This one's from S-Chart, a good German company. We replace the rear one as well, making sure to use Loctite and torque everything down in a star pattern. This is a good time to check the wheel bearings and make sure those are good. We did replace them recently, so they're good to go. Now let's get on to installing the chain. We install the DID chain along with the master link. We put on some grease to make sure there's no binding as we rivet the chain in place. We install the X-rings along with the plate. Once we have the plate in place, we press it to make sure it's within spec. The Multistrada uses a 525 pitch chain, so we have to make sure the chain width is correct, and then we get on to riveting both the rivets. A very critical step is to make sure the rivet has been flared enough, but not too much. We use a vernier caliper to check this and make sure it's all good. Nothing like the feeling of a fresh new chain. We torque down the front sprocket and then adjust the chain slack, making sure the axle is well aligned on both sides, and then we can proceed to torquing the rear axle as well. Now let's get on to giving the brakes a nice cleanup. We use some Wurth brake cleaner, get the brake pads out and clean them as well, and grease the pin. making sure to put it all back together and torquing down the two caliper bolts. Well, that concludes the service. I hope this video has been a nice insight, but let's not leave you without a nice exhaust clip of this throaty V4.